Welcome to Midnight Sociology. Take a slow breath. Tonight, we're not exploring revolutions or wars or presidents. We're exploring something much quieter. Your morning coffee, the way you stand in line, how you greet a stranger, why you say sorry when someone bumps into you. Sociology often sounds like the study of large systems, governments, inequality, institutions, but some of its most powerful insights come from something much smaller: ordinary life. The sociology of everyday life asks a simple question: what if nothing is actually normal? What if the routines we barely notice are carefully constructed social performances? Let's begin with something small. Imagine walking into a cafe. You approach the counter. You wait your turn. You avoid staring at others too long. You order. You say thank you. You move aside. This interaction probably lasted less than 2 minutes, and yet it was governed by dozens of invisible rules. The sociologist Irving Goffman built an entire theory around moments like this. He argued that everyday life is like a stage. We are actors, not in a fake way, but in a social way. We present ourselves carefully. We manage impressions. We adjust our tone, posture, facial expressions, depending on who is watching. You don't behave the same way with your boss as you do with your closest friend. You don't use the same voice in a job interview as you do when you're alone in your kitchen. Goffman called this the presentation of self. The world, he said, is divided into front stage and backstage. Front stage is where the performance happens. Backstage is where you drop it. Think about it. When guests come over, you might clean in a way you normally wouldn't. You might adjust your body language. You might laugh a little louder. But when you're alone, you stretch differently, sit differently, speak differently. The performance relaxes, but it never fully disappears. Even alone, you carry internalized expectations. This brings us to another idea. The sociologist Harold Garfunkel was fascinated by the invisible rules of interaction. He once instructed his students to break everyday norms. Stand too close to someone in an elevator. Ask, "What do you mean?" repeatedly in a casual conversation. Treat family dinner like a formal business meeting. The reactions were immediate: confusion, discomfort, anger. Why? Because everyday life depends on shared assumptions. We assume the elevator will be quiet. We assume "how are you" doesn't require a full medical history. We assume personal space exists. When those assumptions collapse, social order trembles. It's fragile, far more fragile than we realize. Now let's slow this down even further. Think about how you walk down the street. You avoid bumping into others without thinking about it. You glance, calculate, shift slightly left or right. This choreography happens wordlessly. Thousands of people performing micro-adjustments, maintaining order. No one directs it. There is no traffic light for pedestrians on a quiet sidewalk, and yet collisions are rare. Everyday life runs on cooperation, but it also runs on hierarchy. Notice who takes up space, who apologizes more often, who interrupts, who is interrupted. These patterns are not random. They reflect deeper structures of gender, class, race, and power. For example, studies consistently show that women apologize more frequently in public interactions, not because they are inherently more sorry, but because they are socially conditioned to maintain harmony. Similarly, people in higher status positions often speak longer without interruption. Power echoes even in small talk. Now think about your phone. When you sit with someone and glance down at your screen, what happens? There's a shift, a subtle signal. Attention is currency in modern life. To withhold it is meaningful. To grant it is meaningful. In earlier generations, public spaces had different rules.
If you rode a train in the early 20th century, silence and stillness were dominant norms. Today, we sit beside strangers while streaming videos, scrolling feeds, answering messages. Private worlds layered over public ones. Technology doesn't erase social rules, it reshapes them. Consider social media. Platforms like Instagram or TikTok extend Goffman's The Presentation of Self into digital space. Profiles become curated stages, images are selected, captions edited, angles adjusted. We perform happiness, productivity, fitness, intelligence. The backstage shrinks, or perhaps it just moves. Everyday life is also structured by time. The sociologist Emil Durkheim argued that society exists not only in institutions, but in rhythms. Workdays, weekends, holidays. Monday feels different from Sunday, not because of biology, but because of shared agreement. Time itself is social. Even emotions follow patterns. When someone passes away, there is a script. Sadness is expected. At a wedding, joy is expected. If you laugh at a funeral or cry at a comedy show, people notice. Emotions are not purely private. They are regulated by social norms. Now let's move into something even quieter, your home. The layout of your apartment reflects cultural expectations. Bedrooms separated from living spaces, bathrooms hidden, kitchens semi-public. In medieval Europe, entire families sometimes slept in one room. Privacy, as we understand it today, is relatively modern. Architecture shapes interaction. Open-concept homes encourage visibility. Office cubicles encourage surveillance. Corner offices signal authority. Space teaches us how to behave. Now think about your language. Small phrases carry enormous weight. Excuse me, no worries, that's interesting. Sometimes these phrases don't mean what they literally say. That's interesting can mean disagreement. No worries can mean mild irritation. We learn to decode tone. We learn to read pauses. The sociology of everyday life reminds us that communication is layered. What is said, what is implied, what is understood. Even silence communicates. If someone stops replying to messages, that absence speaks. If a room goes quiet after a comment, that quiet has meaning. Everyday life is dense with interpretation. But here's the deeper question. If everything is socially constructed, does that mean nothing is real? Not exactly. Social constructions are real in their consequences. Money, for example, is paper, or numbers on a screen. But because we collectively believe in it, it structures nearly every aspect of life. The sociologist Peter L. Berger described society as a human product that then becomes an objective reality. We create norms. Then those norms shape us. We build institutions. Then those institutions constrain us. It's a loop. You were born into a world already organized. Language existed before you spoke. Gender categories existed before you understood them. School schedules existed before your first alarm clock. And yet, everyday interactions subtly reshape that world. When norms shift, when enough people change behavior, society transforms. Consider greetings. A handshake was once standard in many Western contexts. During the COVID-19 pandemic, that changed almost overnight. Elbows replaced palms, distance replaced closeness, a ritual disrupted, and then partially restored. This shows something important. Norms feel permanent, but they are adaptable. They are negotiated continuously. Even something as small as fashion reveals this process. Clothing signals identity, professional, casual, athletic, formal. But what counts as professional changes over time. In the 1950s, a hat might have been expected in public. Today, it is optional, sometimes ironic. The sociology of everyday life trains us to see these shifts, to notice what we usually overlook, because power hides in the ordinary. It hides in expectations, in who feels comfortable speaking, in who feels watched, in who feels safe walking at night. These are everyday experiences shaped by broader structures. Yet this perspective is not meant to make life feel heavy. It can also be strangely calming. Because when you recognize that awkward moments are structured, that discomfort in an elevator is not personal failure, but norm awareness, you can step back. You can observe. You can become a quiet analyst of your own life. Tomorrow, when the world feels routine, look closer. You may find that the ordinary is the most complex thing of all.